interesting.
Welcome to Movie Valhalla, where brave movies go to live forever. While there's so many movie podcasts out there that just focus on the negatives and poking fun at lower budgeted movies, we decided we wanted to be a little different here and only dwell on the positives. And we're not going to do the big Hollywood movies. We're going to do the little movies that can, the brave movies, the movies where the directors and actors and set designers and special effects artists really put themselves out there and attempted something daring and different and independent. So those are the movies that deserve to be Movie Valhalla, and those are the movies we're going to talk about. Welcome again to Movie Valhalla, where brave movies go to live forever. There's so many podcasts out there that take the B movies, the less than AAA movies, and just poke fun at them, just make fun of them. But here at Movie Valhalla, we go a different route. We look at these little movies that can, and we choose to like them and enjoy them, unironically. And sometimes it may be a little bit tough, but our mission here is to only celebrate the movies, only point out what they did well, the things that we enjoy about them. We'll leave all that riffing and making fun of things to the other podcasts. So with me today is Seth.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about one of my favorite B movies of all time. Just, well, I'll say why I like it later. But a little movie called Leprechaun 4. And what's the subtitle for that, Seth?
In Space.
Mm-hmm. All good horror franchises or sitcoms like Family Matters, once they go to space, you know things have like just jumped up in quality. But similar to Jason X, Jason in Space, I would say Leprechaun 4 is very self-aware, but it's also incredibly creative. So Leprechaun 4 opens with a bunch of space marines, kind of more budget space marines, but think like the space marines from Aliens.
6 months, he has disrupted the galactic mining operation to a tune of $500 million. The words come down from above. Kill the bastard.
They're on an alien world trying to save a space princess. Yes, for real. And the Leprechaun is there too. He ends up diving heroically onto a grenade a la Captain America and blowing himself up to save the princess. But then he travels back to the spaceship with the Marines after one of the Marines pisses on his dead body, and the Leprechaun travels up the piss into the guy's dick.
Oh, shit!
And I'm not kidding, that's how the movie opens. The rest of the movie is just as completely insane and fun. It has all kinds of clever uses of the Leprechaun's power. And of course, the Marines have to fight the Leprechaun. The Leprechaun uses his magic powers to fight the Marines. He tries to fall in love with the princess. It kind of works. And then at the end, you have the whole great big showdown in the cargo bay. Again, similar to the movie Aliens. So with that summary out of the way, how about Seth? Why don't you start off and tell us what's one thing you really appreciated about this movie?
I think one of the things that I really appreciated about it is the clever humor of the Leprechaun. I think it's the trademark of the film itself, or all of the other Leprechaun films as well. But I think that his clever wit.
To say, take a seat. A little of the bubbly to put us on more friendly terms.
And the way I really just loved how he would have his little monologues as he was walking along, in the spaceship or on the planet, which I can't remember the name of the actual planet off the top of my head right now. But, he really just has these kind of prophetic moments where he has these great ideas about how he wants to conquer the world and rule the world. And kind of inspiring in some ways.
Seems almost a pity to kill them, but the path to power is often soiled with innocent blood, and I will let nothing stop me from becoming a king.
I don't know if you felt that way as well, Brian, but
I absolutely feel that way.
I'll have power and glory, and a beautiful queen to share it with.
And Leprechaun, do you remember which actor plays Leprechaun?
yeah.
Starts with a W. He's the most famous little person actor.
Oh God! And you know what? When I was looking in the opening credits, I did recognize it.
Yeah, you recognize him from Willow, probably.
Yeah,
Warwick Davis.
there we go.
Who got his start, of course, in Return of the Jedi, playing one of the Ewoks, and then started the movie Willow, which will not be featured on Movie Valhalla because that's a AAA movie that's honestly just fantastic. I love Willow. Willow was great. Willow was basically the Lord of the Rings you could get before Lord of the Rings existed in movie form.
That's right. Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, you're right. I'll just bounce off that to my point. Yeah, the Leprechaun, Warwick Davis, always is just fantastic in this role. When playing a silly thing like a leprechaun in Leprechaun 4 in space, he still takes it seriously as far as gives effort to the role. He doesn't monotone things. He doesn't look bored like he doesn't want to be there. You can kind of see in even some big Hollywood movies when the performers phoned it in because they think the material is beneath them. And so all the Leprechaun movies, I think Warwick Davis just kills it. But I especially like Leprechaun 4 because he gets to be so creative and weird because the situation itself is so weird.
I wonder if he thought about that as he was reading the script.
Oh, I bet he was just like, this is ridiculous, guys. This looks like so much fun.
I'm gonna take him out! Six, no! I owe him. He saved my life.
No. I bet that's what he thought. I mean, geez, wouldn't you? They're like, so anyway, we're going to make a new Leprechaun movie. And you're like, oh, okay, hey, it's a paycheck. It's fine. It's a fun character. Cool. Got to wear the makeup. Bummer, but okay, fine. And they're like, but this time it's in space. Okay. And this time you're trying to save a princess. Oh, okay. And there's also a giant half German mutant spider. Okay. And then also, and he's just like, hey, sounds great.
Just gets weirder and weirder. Oh, and by the way, you're going to teleport through a stream of piss into the guy's body and then go back into the spaceship with him.
Well, that would sell it to me. I'm just saying, if James Cameron had started off Avatar that way, it would have been an even bigger hit. And we'd all remember it now instead of everybody saying, Avatar, all right, aren't they making sequels? Did they already come out? I can't remember. Didn't Disney spend $2 billion building an Avatar theme park for some insane reason? But yes, Avatar, another movie that will definitely not be in Movie Valhalla. Not a bad movie at all, but I don't know. Honestly, to me, so here's what I'm saying. In my life, I've seen Avatar once in the theaters, and I enjoyed it, and it was fine. Great, good movie, good special effects, good action. It's James Cameron. You cannot go wrong. Guys, one of the best directors out there of all time. But I've seen Leprechaun in space, gosh, 8 times, 9 times.
Words come down from above. Kill the bastard.
Friendly terms.
Something like that. It's such a great party movie, and it's just such a fun movie to sit down and watch.
What the hell are you doing here, lady?
Well, to be honest with you, this was actually the first time that I had seen this.
I know. I wanted to recommend a good one for you.
And I was actually kind of disappointed in myself in the fact that this was the first time because I was actually pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
There were a lot of parts of the movie that, while they were, odd and a bit obscure.
Nobody leaves this ship unless I so say.
I think they really hit the mark with it. And I would absolutely agree. I think that all of the actors really did a good job of playing their parts. That I don't think that anybody was really, overacting or underdoing it or overdoing it. I felt like, everybody knew their roles and how they fit into it, even though the whole story was kind of pretty out there.
Oh, yeah.
the whole part about, you know, the loyalty to each other, the soldiers, and really kind of sticking together throughout the whole movie, and making sure that they were looking out for each other, except for the one soldier, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but you know, I thought that was pretty good. And even the I don't remember the sergeant's name either, but
Yeah, the guy with the metal plate in his head.
yeah, you know,
Who totally reminded me, I don't know why, but that actor, and I should know his name because he's been in a bunch of stuff, but he reminds me of Bill Paxton for some reason, but I don't know why. Maybe it's Bill Paxton from Weird Science I'm thinking of, like kind of that sort of feeling. But yeah, he did a great job.
I'm sorry. Do you have an appointment?
Listen, you little pencil neck geek!
In his dual roles as Arlie Emery style, no nonsense sergeant and ballerina. I'm not sure what the other role would be. Yeah.
He's gonna kill us.
That's actually, and if we were going to talk about favorite scenes, I'd have to say that was probably one of my favorite scenes in the film when he you know, he's in the bar and all of a sudden he comes out and he starts singing a song, and he's in dress or he's in drag, and you know, he's dancing on the stage, and he's kind of going back and forth between, like, his brain is kind of having these weird kind of like triggers, and you know, I thought that was just such a great kind of opportunity to see both sides of the character, you know, going from the hardcore soldier,
Words come down from above. Kill the bastard.
to the, you know, complete queen in drag.
Well, speaking of dual roles, back when I first saw this movie forever ago, like back in high school, our favorite character, even more so than the Leprechaun, was Dr. Mittenhands. And, or as he would like to be called, Dr. Mittenhands.
In spite of my appearance, I'm quite capable of running this ship and everything on it.
And then later on in the movie, spoilers, I guess, if you haven't seen Leprechaun 4, what are you doing? Go watch it right now. When he becomes, the Leprechaun injects him with that spider fluid, and he becomes Dr. Mitten Spider.
Mittenhand. I am now Mitten Spider.
And it's an honestly pretty
Don't
cool
forget the
practical
scorpion.
effect. Huh?
Don't forget the scorpion.
Oh, yeah. A little bit of scorpion in there, too. And it's just like, and then he becomes this weird so let's see. Hang on. I guess he'd be like a third mad German scientist, a third cybernetic robot, and a third giant mutant spider all rolled in together. And I just watched something like that, and I'm just like, it's one of those things, the movie didn't have to do that. This could have just been some junky, it's Leprechaun 4 in space, and we filmed the whole thing in the producer's garage, and we just, you know, winked at the audience and like ran around for like 10 minutes, and there you go, that's it. But they went balls to the wall with their special effects and with their creativity.
Son of a bitch.
I mean, you know, when was the last time you were watching a Marvel movie and they had a German scientist, cyborg, Dr. Strangeglove, mutant spider attacking people? It's like, you know, step up your game, MCU.
Seriously. No, I think that character, and, you know, kind of the parallels between Dr. Mittenhands and the Leprechaun. I think the scene where they have the standoff.
Yes.
And, you know, the Leprechaun's coming and says, you know, I want people to grovel, you know, and respect me, you know, as a king of the universe. And Dr. Mittenhand's response says, you don't want people to respect you. You want people to fear you. And it was that kind of that dichotomy in their perspectives on how they would want to lead. One would want to lead through having people grovel at his feet and respect him. One would want just to have the power, through fear, and their different approaches. But I also thought it was kind of interesting, the parallel.
Well, and also, just tell you, but remember too, also one of them is the world of magic. The other one is the world of hard sci-fi science.
I am brilliant.
So you
That's
have that
true.
dichotomy going on too. But yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
And I was just going to kind of point out the two characters and their deformities, right? You've got the leprechaun who's really, really short and, obviously not very attractive. And
Oh no, come on. Princess liked him fine. But yeah, and then Dr.
until when she saw all the jewels and gold that he had to offer,
Yeah.
right? But then you've got Dr. Minhans, who's, this all-powerful person who you only see on camera at the very beginning, right? You only see him through a little screen. And then when he finally does the big reveal and he comes out on this cart and he's like all kind of connected to this giant robotic machine and not attractive in any stretch of the imagination. But, both of those characters kind of feeling a little bit inferior based upon their appearances as well.
Mm-hmm. But both of them are actually very powerful in their own way and dangerous and all that. All right, so let's get into. Tell me what another one of your favorite scenes is. So besides the one with the sergeant, what's another one of your favorite parts in the movie?
Well, just kind of going back to how the leprechaun initially, was I don't know how you'd even say how he was cargoed into the ship through the the guy's piss.
Oh, shit!
And then he goes out to have his way with one of the other soldiers. Female soldiers, and as they're starting to get it on, he starts to feel a pain in his groin, and all of a sudden the leprechaun is emerging from his dick. And, I mean, I don't think that there's any better way to have an intro into a scene than coming out of somebody's pants that way.
And then you get into this whole weird category of male birth, basically, like a man giving birth, but he's giving birth to like this evil, devilish kind of creature, and we could draw these lines back to original sin and Adam and Eve and this and that. I doubt any of that's very intentional in the movie. I think they're just making a dick joke. But
I think so too.
If you wanted to, you could do an entire thesis about Leprechaun 4, like all the symbolism throughout it.
I want to read that dissertation of the film student that does that.
I will pay someone $10 if they make that their PhD dissertation. 10 entire dollars.
The original sin scene of Leprechaun 4.
Well, hang on. Let's see. So we had on that planet, the princess and the leprechaun were like Adam and Eve, and they were in this unspoiled sort of Garden of Eden kind of thing. But then the soldiers could be the snake because they are technology and knowledge. And, they insist on universal laws and things like that. And they try and kill the leprechaun, and they take Eve. But then the leprechaun is reborn among them. And then they almost pay for their sins for defiling the Garden of Eden.
Yeah.
So there you go. Yeah.
I hadn't really thought of it that way, but I think that's a unique perspective on it.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say I don't think anyone has ever thought of Leprechaun 4 that way. And I take a great deal of pride in that. But yeah, I think I would go, let's see, one of my other favorite scenes. And again, this is spoilers, but at the end of the movie, when the leprechaun uses the reverse shrinking ray to become huge, and he's this giant stomping around the cargo bay, chasing our main characters around, besides just being like a fun little reversal, again, it's one of those things where it's like they didn't have to do something like that, but they just wanted to have a creative and really clever ending of the movie.
Well, and sorry to cut you off there,
Yeah,
but
go over.
would you say that there's kind of a parallel between Dr. Mittenhands and the Leprechaun there as well? Because they both went through these odd transformations at the end of the film, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That ended up backfiring on them both.
Yeah, they thought each of them, it would make them more powerful, but instead it led to both of their downfalls. Yeah, definitely. And then the Leprechaun gets shot out into space, a la Aliens again. It's a very Aliens-inspired movie. And ironically, I think this is actually a movie that James Cameron will be proud of. Maybe not current day James Cameron, but I think he still has a sense of humor. But James Cameron, just to bring us weirdly back full circle, he got to start doing special effects for Roger Corman movies. And like basically just working with, the cheapest sets, the cheapest props. And he was so good at it that became his first directing job for Piranha 2. And then that catapulted him eventually into getting to do the Terminator movies. And it's just one of those things where I feel like somebody like him, because that's what really brought Cameron to people's attention, was how creative he was with a limited budget. And I feel like he would actually see Leprechaun 4 and be like, oh, that's really fun. That's really neat how they did all that on a budget of, not very much, obviously.
I bet he's seen it.
I would hope so. I would hope so.
Well, and just to kind of tie it back to Alien,
yeah,
the Leprechaun emerging from the guy's groin.
Yeah.
I mean, hello, how much more alien can you get?
Yeah, I don't think you could survive that either. Having a life-size Warwick Davis come out of your urethra, I don't think that's a survivable wound. But or at least if you did, you would hope you were dead.
The alien emerging from the
yes,
woman.
Yeah. Instead of a chest burster, it's the other thing.
Yeah, exactly. So,
all right,
nice tie-ins there.
Yeah. Well, we're coming up towards the end of our episode. So, is there any advice from one of the characters you can think of that the character would give to some of our listeners? So, which character are you thinking, and what advice would they give? And if possible, do it in their voice. If not possible, that's okay.
Oh, if I was thinking about the Leprechaun, I would say that his advice would be, to never give up, no matter what happens in the world. And this is the worst accent possible, so
no,
I don't have a good Irish accent.
You completely sound like Paul Tynan. That's exactly how I remember him saying after 3 or 4 Guinnesses.
To never give up on your chances, no matter how beaten down you are and how many times people try to kill you and slay you and slice you and dice you in a million different ways. You will always rise to the top no matter what, and never let them get your treasures, your gold, because what's precious to you should always remain precious to you.
That's some very uplifting Leprechaun advice. I'm going to have to do 2 because I like Leprechaun and Dr. Mittenspider so much.
Okay.
I would say for the Leprechaun, let's see. I got to talk about gold because it's a Leprechaun. So he would say, let's see. Remember, people, before they steal your gold, getting home and it's not old. If you cross them, you best beware, or I'll burst out from somewhere within your underwear. Which is to say, basically, kind of like that Clint Eastwood movie El Camino. Be careful who you mess with, and you do not want to mess with the Leprechaun. Because even at the end of the film, when he's literally exploded out in space and is nothing but floating body parts, do you remember what he does to our main characters?
He gives them the finger.
Yep, because he's just saying, I ain't dead. And, Leprechaun can track you to the ends of the universe. Like, he's an unstoppable killing force that also rhymes and wears, cute little stockings. And I would say Dr. Mittenhand's advice to everybody would be, remember, nothing is more powerful than science. And that's just a reminder. You got to be careful with science. Science can do a lot of good and it can do a lot of bad. It can help, people. Like, let's say you have a completely exploded penis because a leprechaun came out of you. Well, science could, hypothetically fix you up. But also, science could create a disease that would, give many people exploding penises, artificially. No leprechauns needed. And so science has that double-edged, kind of sword. So that's what I think he'd say.
Well, hopefully we're always checking ourselves and making sure that science isn't becoming too unwieldy.
Nah, I don't know about that. I could really do with some leprechauns in charge right about now.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's definitely something that we always have to be cognizant of. But
yeah,
I think the movie does draw nice attention to that. I know we're done talking about scenes in the movie, but I have to point out that there was one part of the movie that I felt was also kind of a strong quality of the film, where you've got the kind of the brute soldier who is falling in love with this very intelligent doctor, and he goes and he's buys her or gonna have a drink with her at the bar, and he strikes out and he's having a conversation with one of his fellow soldiers and talking about how he feels inadequate because he's not as intelligent as the doctor, and I thought that was kind of a for Leprechaun 4, that is kind of a profound moment where you have this kind of brute actor, where you would think in most movies the brute actor would be like, she doesn't like me, whatever, she's just a bitch. But he kind of touches into his emotional side and says, I'm feeling kind of inadequate because I'm not as intelligent, but I really do care about her.
Well, come on, Sticks, think about it. We're not exactly made for each other. A PhD and a high school diploma, conversations might tend to be a little one-sided.
Well, that depends on what you're talking about.
There's the problem. I might not know what we're talking about.
I thought that was kind of a poignant point in the film.
Well, I'm going to piggyback on that and talk about that scene you're talking about that takes place in the weird space bar that's on their spaceship. Even though their spaceship only has 10 people total on it, but they got a bar. Yeah, fine, whatever, okay. But that reminded me of the same kind of space bar that's in the movie Space Mutiny. And Space Mutiny will absolutely be a future episode of Movie Valhalla. And I know that's another one you haven't seen, but I'll try and find a way, see if I can find a way to get a copy to you, because it is just amazing. It's another really good one. Not fun in the same way as Leprechaun 4, but in a different way. Let me put it that way. So, okay, we're almost out of time. We try and keep our episodes short and sweet for our viewers because we imagine many of them are short and sweet, just like Warwick Davis.
To say, take a seat.
And so we hope everybody enjoyed our little discussion on Leprechaun 4. If you sat all the way through this and still haven't seen it, I'm sorry we spoiled some of it for you, but there is still so much more to see besides what we talked about. It is a fun movie, a genuinely good, fun B-movie. It's self-aware enough to where it knows you're going to laugh at it. That's the point. It's really kind of a horror comedy, much more on the comedy side than the horror side. So please go check it out. I'd like to thank Seth for being my guest host today.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and then Seth, hopefully we'll see you back here for another one in the future.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
All right. Everyone, remember, guard your gold and guard your nuts.